Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Women's Soccer Show. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Allie.
And this is our third to last episode of the season.
Can you believe? Can you believe it?
I mean, I can and I can't. To say it. I feel like we've done a lot of these. And also, I'm getting sad that this is the third to last episode of the season. But, listeners, do not worry. You will not miss Allie and I for that long. First of all, we'll still have Patreon going up. Second of all, we'll be back in like a month after that for the Euros. So I guess take the break from us while you can and enjoy it.
Because we'll be back with even more.
We have a lot to talk about. There's a lot happening in the soccer world. Let's just get into it.
Let's do it. So, of course, we have to start off with Champions League. Because the two semis happened this Saturday just gone. And they were unexpected firecracker semi-finals. I mean, we're going to focus on Lyon PSG, but we do have to give a shout out to Wolfsburg, who are the first team to defeat Barcelona this season with a 2-0 win.
It was funny because we were texting before and we were like, oh, probably not going to watch this game because it's not going to be a good game. And like, is Wolfsburg really going to pull out like a 4-5-0 victory to make it competitive and potentially advance? Probably not. And then I got a text from Allie. It was just like 2-0. And I was like, oh my God. And that's the Wolfsburg we thought was going to show up in the first leg. And it's really unfortunate that they couldn't just keep it tighter in the first leg because you see what they did here.
Yep, absolutely. But we are talking about the French face-off. We are talking about Lyon versus PSG.
The 47,000 sold-out stadium in Paris.
Yep, that's huge. It's the biggest crowd in a French women's game history. And it couldn't have been a better venue. It couldn't have been a better setting for what was a cracking semi-final.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one, to be honest. I really, really did. Well, I was so excited for it. And rarely those games live up to the hype. But let's get into it. Let's just talk about it.
Absolutely.
So, Lyon came out with a victory 2-1. But it was rocky there for a long time. This was not in the bag whatsoever. Right? So what was your initial overall thoughts on this game?
Okay, so this is where we're going to argue, because I honestly think Lyon got lucky. PSG were all over them and just could not get a shot off. The game was all PSG pretty much. Even the goals that Lyon got were against the run of play. You know, PSG came out fighting and Lyon, I think, were lucky to just break them down and get that win.
Okay, here we go. So I agree with you that PSG came out fighting because they came out a lot stronger than they did in the first leg. They had clearly solved a lot of the issues, not all of them, and I'll come on to the defensive issues. So I'll give you that. But my interpretation, and as I watched this game, particularly the first half, like PSG had the ball more than they had it in the first leg. But they weren't creating any form of a dangerous opportunity. They were creating opportunities. They were in the final third, but nothing was dangerous until the last 20 minutes. And then they put their foot on the gas, and that was it. But until then, I would say PSG really weren't threatening that much.
So that was our overall fault. Let's talk about the teams individually. Let's talk about the victors. Hedberg's header was, first off, a phenomenal goal. Like, the precision, the accuracy, the power of that header.
She is a world-class number 9. And look, this is saying something. I don't know where she falls in terms of like FIFA Best 11 or anything like that. But specifically in the Champions League, she has proven time and time again, she is probably the most valuable player over the last 5 years. She's the top scorer in all of the Champions League, period. And she is why Lyon advanced.
Yeah, no, absolutely. She's come back from injury. And a lot of people were doubting her. They were a lot like, why is she in the starting lineup? You know, she's not as good as she was, blah, blah, blah. And all of the games in the Champions League, all of the games that Lyon have played in the league have been dependent on Hedberg. She has been an absolute shining star for the team and is one of these people that she will pop up when you need her most. And that, I think, gave Lyon the confidence because they were on the back foot, despite what you say, for the first few moments. And it gave them the confidence to like, all right, we're settling into this game now.
Okay, so I want to talk about it though, because were they on the back foot or was that intentionally how they came out to play. Because to me, it seemed a little bit more tactical. They had some bad games around the field, like Katarina Macario showed up really well in the first leg, not so much in the second leg. But it did seem to me that Lyon was happy to sit back and let PSG have a little bit more possession, so long as they kept everything really tight in the final third and used their counterattacks. And that seemed to be how Lyon was happy to play, in my opinion.
See, I disagree on that, because I say that they were not expecting the ferocity that PSG came out with. I think they were expecting that they were going to start the game slow, ramp it up and everything else. And PSG were like, nah, not having any of that. And they were like knocking on the door from kickoff. And I think it did. I think it hot-footed Lyon that they weren't expecting that. So then to have that extra goal cushion right early on, it was like 14 minutes, that allowed them to get back into the game and dictate the pace a bit more. But for the first 14 minutes, 15 minutes, they were not in that game.
Yeah, I guess that's a fair point. They were a different team as soon as they scored that goal. Absolutely. But they still, while they were able to control the ball more, they were still seemingly happier to not have possession. Like, you look at the possession statistics, they had 38% of possession. That is not because PSG dominated the first 15 and the last 20. That's because overall, they were willing to let PSG kind of have that more. But I fully agree, that goal changed the course of the game. PSG had control for the first 15, and then Lyon was able to kind of settle down. And maybe that's why they were able to sit back, because now the aggregate became even a 2-goal difference. And they were like, okay, we can sit back and see if you can score 2 goals.
Who was your Lyon player of the match?
It's got to be Hegerberg. How could it not be? I mean, Hegerberg is the one who changed the course of the game, like we were just saying.
Ladies and gentlemen, and all those in between, this is where me and Sarah disagree yet again, because my player of the match was Endler. I think Lyon's goalkeeper kept them in it with some insane saves.
She had a great game. She had a really fantastic game. So I'll give her that. She didn't have too much to handle in the first leg, so I think that this was, just the performance that they needed, but still credit to her. And I will say, Wendy Renard did not show well in the first leg, showed up so well in this second leg.
I was going to say, it was like two different players. It was like 2 different players in this leg. She was the Wendy Renard of old. She was commanding. She had her team, again, where she needed, once again, rose up to get the header, because obviously she's got the height. And again, it was sort of like, all right, I see what you're doing here.
Before we move on to PSG, I also have to say about Lyon. We talked about Hegerberg, we talked about Endler, and we touched on the midfield in the last game, but Lyon are such an incredibly dangerous and strong team because of the strength that they have in the middle of the park. When you look at the matchup between PSG and Lyon, just in the middle of the park, it's no contest. There's a lot of reasons why PSG was going down the sides, which again, we'll come on to. But I just need to give credit where credit is due. The center midfielders for Lyon did not have a great game overall here in Leg 2. Macario was kind of lost in the play. Horan was pretty much lost in the play in both legs. It wasn't too much to be seen from really anybody, even Henry. However, even in those bad games, they still have control of the center of the park. And those 3 midfielders control the entire game for Lyon. The entire game. They serve the balls in for Hegerberg. They are the ones pulling the strings. And even in a bad game, they were able to hold down the middle of the park defensively. And that is going to play the biggest role as they match up against Barcelona in the final.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more on that one. Is the fact that, the midfield is going to be where the game is won and lost, which it often is. So,
I mean, I know we'll come on to the final for a second, but let's just do it now. How excited are we for the Lyon, Barcelona, old dynasty, new dynasty? I mean, it's everything. And these Lyon players are so into it too. They're kind of talking a little trashed about Barcelona, where they're like, football existed before Barcelona came to be a year ago.
Yeah, exactly. These young guns, who do they think they are? Blah, 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 and all that stuff. So, It's gonna be tasty. It's gonna
be so tasty, and you're gonna be getting married while it's happening.
I know.
I'm just gonna be blowing up your phone while you're at the altar. You don't have to have the game on streaming. I'm gonna just send you updates. Just text after text after text, like Puteas, chance, Hegerberg, chance.
But we should touch on PSG. We should talk a bit more PSG. Once again, their goalkeeper was a liability.
Oh my gosh, I totally disagree.
Oh my goodness, really?
Vlatikova was having a great game until she got hurt. She was playing really well. I was actually sitting there being like, I'm really happy she's turned it around. She's doing what she needs to do this game. And God, you really feel for her. She just clearly was in so much pain. And this happened right before half, maybe 2 minutes before half.
Yeah.
And it was a coaching decision to leave her on the field.
Which I think was stupid.
That's exactly what I was about to say. I almost couldn't watch because as an athlete, that is when the worst injury happens. A, you've left her on the field hurt. She could get injured even more. B, you could lose the entire leg right now with one opportunity from Lyon simply because you wanted her to stay on for a couple more minutes until halftime. And I know they wanted to stay on, reevaluate, see if she could be on in the second half, but just make the call. Just make the call.
It was painful to watch her be in pain because you could tell that she was very gingerly stepping on her foot and stuff like that. You could see that it wasn't right. And it's like, you're going to make the sub anyway. Just do it. Like, all you're going to do is add 30 seconds more onto your halftime extra time before you go. Like, it was painful. I think Vol did quite well considering, because I don't think she was expecting to play, because sub goalkeepers never do.
And the back line did well considering that they had to shift to an entirely different goalkeeper. Like, that whole unit, it's hard.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So you do have to give credit there. I still think that she was a bit shaky in the first half. I still think she was making some silly decisions.
I think credit to all PSG goalkeepers. I think Vlatikova had a good game till she came off, and I think Vol brought the confidence that PSG needed, because mentally that's really hard to play with a backup goalkeeper and play the same type of style and have the same confidence in your backup keeper as you have in your starting.
Yeah, and absolutely. And second half was when they got their goal. It was a rebound goal, poacher's goal. Edlund made a couple of great saves, and then a tap in at the back, pretty much. But you know what? That's what you wanted. You wanted a smash and grab, and it gave them the hope and the willpower to like absolutely come. And like you said, last 20 minutes, they absolutely came out, pedal to the metal, thrashing, ready to go. And yeah, what are you going to do with a Reynard header like that? You just no chance.
Yeah, so basically we go into halftime 1-0. We come out of halftime, and for me, so the goal you're talking about was at the 60th minute. That was a turning point for me. But what I really think maybe helped with the new goalkeeper situation was, along with putting Vol, the backup goalkeeper, in, they made the change to put Bachmann in as well. And that, I mean, the energy that Bachmann infused into the game, she was involved in every single play. She was the one who was creating opportunities for Katoto on the side, right? For Diani on the side. And she changed the game for me. I think then also Katoto's tap in goal was when PSG were like, oh yeah, we can do this. But I think really at halftime is when they were infused with energy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And basically, yeah, Bachmann did Bachmann things. Like, she used to do it at Chelsea all the time. She used to run her wing like an absolute sergeant. And she was doing it again for PSG, and we've seen it in the league, and we've seen it then. So I was very excited to see Bachmann.
I have to say, though, you know, while PSG scored in the 62nd minute, there was only a glimmer of 20 minutes really after that where it seemed that maybe we could have an aggregate tie. And then the moment Wendy Renard scored in the 80th minute, it was clear that PSG was done.
Yeah, it died. They ran out of steam.
So I was a little disappointed that maybe for a 90-minute game, to me it only seemed for 20 minutes that this could really end up in a tie. PSG took the league last year for the first time ever over Lyon. They knocked Lyon out of the Champions League in the quarterfinals, and now Lyon have come back. They have sought their revenge in the league. They have officially knocked PSG out of the Champions League in the semifinals, and now they are out to reclaim their Champions League title. I mean, what a storyline this is.
Yeah, like, I don't think you could... If you'd written it as a movie, people would have said that you were a fantasist. Like,
if you wrote it as a movie, who wins the Champions League?
Lyon.
Old or new? Old?
Lyon, yeah.
Interesting.
Because I think everybody thinks it's going to be Barcelona.
Yes,
because
that's true.
Because of the form they're in, the way they've, like, absolutely demolished their league, the fact that they've demolished teams, stuff like that. On paper, it's Barcelona, but... And I never thought I would say this sentence, but part of me is rooting for Lyon to upset the story.
I know what you mean.
Like, how can 7-time Champions League winners be the underdog? But they are.
It's the story of the winning team. Once you start winning all the time, nobody wants to root for you. And I just have to say, by the way, at this point last year, me and Helen were saying Barcelona is taking this title, and we have been saying it for weeks on end. They advanced to the final. We kept saying it. They won. And now all of a sudden, everybody's on the Barca train. And I'm not saying I told you so, but I'm saying that we said it first.
So she's saying that I told you so, guys.
No, but I know what you mean. I kind of find myself wondering if I'm going to root for Lyon, and I don't know. But we will do a full preview breaking down both of those teams before that final happens, which is on Allie's wedding date, which is
21st of May.
There we go. Here we go, around the world, around the world.
So we're going to start with Mexico, and Pachuca lost to Pumas 2-0. However, Tigres could not capitalise on this and only managed a draw against Atlas. There is still only 1 point between third place and 7th. So again, this league is looking like the one to watch.
Over to Ireland, Shelbourne reclaimed the top spot with a win over Treaty United. Piedmont drew with their opponents but remain in second place.
Over to Spain, and Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid are tied for third with 56 points and have played the same number of games. Both won their matches this weekend but will not face each other before the end of the season. Atletico will face Barcelona for the final game of the season, whereas Real Madrid will mainly face bottom of the table teams. Could this be the deciding factor for the final Champions League spot?
Have you checked out Total Football Analysis yet? TotalFootballAnalysis.com provides researched analysis on loads of football games, including women's football. Want to know why Miedemar scores so many goals? Do you want to explore how City have turned it around this season? Head over to TotalFootballAnalysis.com and sign up to learn more about the beautiful game. We have a special discount for listeners of the Women's Soccer Show. At checkout, type WOSO10 to get a full year for €10. That's €40 off the yearly subscription. Head over to TotalFootballAnalysis.com and type WOSO10 at checkout.
So, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to talk about the English Football League as a whole, not just the WSL, because so much happened this weekend throughout the different tiers. We had to highlight all of it. We had to shine that spotlight.
And I'm excited to do this. There's some really big news out of the lower tiers.
Yeah, no, absolutely. However, I'm going to start this off with a controversial yet brave statement, as I like to do.
I love that you never just come out and make the statement. You're always like, nobody get mad at me because I know it's controversial and I'm being really brave right now.
Exactly. I'm a meme fiend. So, the question... Do Chelsea actually deserve this title?
Overall, absolutely. They've been the best team this year. And that's it. And that's as an Arsenal fan. But it's sad for me to say. And that's the truth. If we're talking about the last 2 games, absolutely not.
See, I'm saying no. And not just because I'm a West Ham fan. I'm saying no because Arsenal had a blip in January, and that's unfortunately cost them. But from January onwards and before then, they've played some of the best football I have ever seen. They just have. Like, the players they've had, you know...
I agree.
The magic of, like, Mido and Williamson and Viv has come into form and stuff like that. So Arsenal they've just unfortunately had a bad January. and that's cost them. Chelsea's football, for the last few games, like they've had a really weird up and down season. So like they started off not great, then they had a really good peak period, which is when Arsenal didn't, and then the last few games, literally there is a clip of Erin Cuthbert on TV saying, "I don't go into the dressing room when Emma Hayes is mad." And that's why I'm here now. And that's why I'm here now.
Oh, that's kind of hilarious. And I also just got residually scared of Emma Hayes, just picturing what could happen there.
Right? Because I'm telling you, like the last 3 games, a champion does not make. Yes, they won them, but they shouldn't have.
See, I don't think so. It's like they won them because they won them. And I think always, no matter who it is, no matter what champion it is, there's always a game or two where you're like, oh, they got lucky there. I mean, I'll use my everything, the U.S. women's national team. I'm literally holding my hand over my heart, everybody.
And I'm eye rolling so hard right now.
You look at the 2019 World Cup, squeaked by Spain, arguably had a rough one against England, got, Alyssa Nair saved everything, period, the end. So, like, you get a little lucky, you win a championship. And I think in every single championship, you find where that team got lucky. The way I see these two teams is actually kind of flipped, where I think Chelsea had a weird start for a couple games, and then they were consistent the entire time. The entire league, they were consistent until these last couple games. They've lost Kirby. There's just a lot of crap happening, basically. Arsenal, I think, have a higher peak. Like, they've played better soccer. I think that they could be the better team. However, they've been inconsistent week on week in terms of how they play and their results.
I genuinely think they just had a bad January. I think Arsenal have been the better team throughout, and unfortunately, because of the short WSL season, you can't afford to have a bad January because that is going to throw you. But I just want to talk about the Birmingham-Chelsea game because it almost gave Birmingham a lifeline.
And Arsenal a lifeline.
And Arsenal a lifeline, but they were drawing up until like the 70th odd minute. I don't think it was a handball. I genuinely don't. Having looked at the footage, if it wasn't intentional. Was it a penalty? No, because she wasn't stopping a goal scoring opportunity. I don't personally think if I was a ref, I wouldn't have given it, but she did.
I agree, because I'm really not for giving game-altering penalty kicks unless it's exceptionally clear.
Yeah, like if it had been studs up tackle in the penalty box, you can't argue that.
Right.
But it was marginal, if that. So I do not agree with the fact that it was a penalty. But the fact that Chelsea had to rely on that to beat Birmingham, who
are all but relegated now.
All but relegated. They've had 2 draws, 2 wins.
Yeah.
Your closest rivals beat them 7-0.
Right.
So you should be aiming for a couple of goals in that. And the fair play to Birmingham, they did what they did against Arsenal. They closed ranks in the defensive thing. They blocked every opportunity that Kerr had, that Harder had. Like, they closed them down. I think Cuthbert had 3 attempts that she was getting frustrated by the end of it. Does that mean you deserve the title? No, I don't think they do.
But I don't think you can say they don't deserve the title because of this game. This was a terrible game on their behalf.
But I think it's exemplary of what I mean.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I disagree. I just think that overall they were more consistent. They were more consistently dominant than Arsenal. And that hurts me to say, but it makes me happy that you think Arsenal were, so thank you.
I was going to say, in what universe am I defending Arsenal?
I know, right?
Like, how did that happen?
I do think we quickly have to talk about this for Birmingham City, because they almost saw some light there.
Yeah.
And how much of a dagger is it for them now to drop that game, get no points out of it?
No.
On a penalty kick in the last few minutes, and just kind of know that this is it. I mean, how do you go into the next couple games?
No, exactly. They've got Man City next on a weekday game, who are going to go all guns blazing because they're going to want third, and again, it's going to probably come down to goal difference and things like that. And Man United have got Chelsea as the last game, and then it's going to be a rough one for them. And I do honestly say, because their final game of the season is against Aston Villa, which is a second City derby. They've won it before, but they've got to beat Man City. So next I'm going to drop down a league to the Championship, and we've got Coventry, a Cinderella story. Coventry United were down and out back in late December, January. They were told that their club had no funds and were folding. They don't have the backing of a men's club like some think they do. They're not affiliated with Coventry City or anything like that. They are their own entity, and their owners went bust. And the players were basically told, been nice knowing you, bye. They then got an owner at the very last minute, but the league, as they've been known to do, gave them a 12-point penalty for their previous owners not managing the books properly.
12-point penalty?
Yeah.
I don't want to veer us off topic, but I did see a fascinating graphic on Twitter this week about the different types of penalties that in the men's league, that each Premier League team were awarded based on their offenses. And the teams that tried to form the Super League out of the Premier League had the smallest punishment of all. And 12 points is massive.
Exactly. When you figure that there's not that many teams, so they don't play that many games. And this was halfway through the season.
Oh my gosh.
So everybody's like, they're sunk, they're gone, they're going to go down to another tier, they're done. Right? So it comes down to the final game because Coventry have fought tooth and nail to get back within, range, right? So they were bottom of the table all season until the final game between Watford, who would be the team that would go down if they won, right?
Okay.
97th minute, Kaylee Green smashes the most beautiful, so many yards out of the box. Everybody's screaming at her, get it in the box, pass it to someone in the box. Nah, she don't want to do that. She smashes it from distance past the Watford keeper, who has no hope whatsoever in the 97th minute, and has saved Coventry from relegation. Like,
we're going to retweet this if we haven't already. It is one of the more gorgeous goals I've seen all year.
Beautiful.
It was like Beth Mead top bucket kind of goal.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. It was
stunning.
Glorious.
And the joy that you get to watch that ensued afterwards.
Yeah, you've got to feel for Watford. You do.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's like Coventry have proved that they may have been down but not out.
And I'm so happy you shared the backstory because, like, just with what's circulating on the internet, it's like, oh, I'm glad they saved themselves from relegation. That's a great goal, period, the end. But with this whole backstory, wow.
Yeah, they did it, man. They did it, and it is a beautiful thing. And now we're going to go even further down in the tiers, but further up north. Move over, PSG. Newcastle have got something to say to you. All right.
This was beautiful. Our girl Helen was there. She is a Newcastle United fan. She was getting to do commentary on this game. Those stands were packed.
Yeah. It was 22,134 people at St James's Park. That is a record for a Tier 4 match.
Yes, so just for the US fans like myself, will you explain Newcastle, the tier, St. James, everything like that?
Right, yeah. So we have like different leagues in our women's football, and your top level is WSL and it goes down. And so tier 4 is regional. So they are in the Northern League because we split the country north and south. So they've been playing for a while, but Newcastle as a whole have got new owners, and the new owners are making a pledge that they are going to get Newcastle into the WSL within 4 years.
What a pledge. That is a promotion per year, basically.
Yeah, and aim for Champions League. That is what they want to do.
That's ambitious. Look, I'm all for that. That's great. If that actually happens, that is wild. That is winning, being promoted, winning again, being promoted. That's wild.
Exactly. Right, so it's huge. So they have put on this event at St James's, which is the men's stadium. It is the home of football in the northeast, some may argue. And 22,134 people turned up to watch Newcastle play in St James's. As my wonderful co-host said over the weekend, build it and they will come.
Yes.
Because they did. I got emotional, and I'm not even not even a Newcastle fan.
And this is, we should say, the largest turnout for any women's football match, club women's football match in England all year across any tier. That includes the WSL.
Yeah, it's huge. It's absolutely huge. Well done, Newcastle, for promoting it. I hope you stick to your promise and you're going to back your girls. And that is the roundup of the English game.
Over to the NWSL. We had the start of the regular season. Angel City kicking it off at home. Now they're playing in a new stadium from here on out. They played at a collegiate stadium for the Challenge Cup. And from here on out, they're going to be playing in Bank of California Stadium, which is a gorgeous stadium that was built for LAFC. But along the lines of sellout crowds, they had a sellout. Over 22,000 people showed up for Angel City's first regular season home game at this gorgeous stadium. Again, put it in a beautiful place. Tell people about it and they will come. This was a beautiful sight to see. They took down North Carolina 2-1.
Yeah.
Shocking again. So just a really beautiful night in LA. Lots of emotion from the players who are from LA, who got to play there for the first time. And it was just really a beautiful sight to see. We're going to move quickly from LA to San Diego because San Diego Wave played Houston Dash this past weekend and beat them 1-0. But it's not really the game or the result that we need to talk about. What we need to talk about is Houston Dash came into this game with a brand new coach because James Clarkson, who was the head coach and GM of the team, was laid off based on more abuse charges that came up over this past year from an investigation that was completed by both the NWSL Players Association and the league combined. This was all born out of what happened last year. They decided to launch a full-blown investigation into the entirety of the league, which we can't believe it wasn't done before. And James Clarkson, who was the longest tenured coach in the league, had to be fired because of more allegations. And I'm so sad that we need to talk about this right now.
Yeah, it's getting so repetitive, and it's like, why has nothing been done like in a fell swoop? Why did you not get rid of all of them in the one go? And again, you know, the Dash have had to put up more turmoil, this thing, and it's just painful now to just look at coaches and be like,
it's so painful.
Do better.
And I think what is not most painful, but part of the pain comes from this question that I think all of us are asking of like, is this ever going to be done? Or is this so deeply entrenched in the league that we're simply never going to be over with this? Is this just going to keep happening and keep happening? Like, do we really need to tear it all down and rebuild it? And I think that's what the point that everybody's at right now, because I think everybody was like, okay, this was awful. Let's clear all of this terrible energy out and let's bring in new coaches. Let's bring in new staffs. And here we are again. Somebody called out to Casey Stoney in a press conference that she was now the longest tenured standing head coach in the league at this point.
Wow.
And that's technically true, except Freya Coombe is still coaching the league, but Freya Coombe switched teams, so I guess it doesn't count because Freya Coombe was at Gotham and is now coaching at Angel City. So either way you play it, it's really sad. And that was basically Casey Stoney's response of almost like laughing in disgust and just like, that's really sad and we need to change this culture. And, you know, I don't know that there's much more for us to say on it, but to shine a light on it because this is important. We continue to talk about it as hard as it is, as repetitive, unfortunately, as it is. I guess I can just say that I'm happy that the Players Association and the league are working together and hopefully that this will uncover everything that needs to be uncovered and we can move on once and for all.
Yep, no, 100%, 100%. There's just nothing left to say, to be honest.
No. But speaking of Casey Stoney, I'm going to need to remind you really quickly. Remember when we were talking about San Diego Wave and I was like, and they've got Jodie Taylor, what a great asset. And you were like, nah, what?
No.
You want to say something? You want to say something about what's happened?
Yeah, she scored.
Captain Jodie Taylor scored the winning goal. Jodie Taylor's been having an incredible season so far under Casey Stoney.
Do you know what, though? It was very much... I think it was definitely more of a team game, because I'm going to say that I thought the Dash were on top for the entire game. I thought the Dash had more chances. They were more together despite the circumstances, and they played really well. I think Daly had some very off decisions, but then she was moved into the centre and it was a weird positioning for her. But Jane Campbell had a really great game. But what San Diego did is what all great Casey Stoney teams do, both from as a coach and as a player, is they were patient, they wore them down, and then they got the goal in the 84th, 86th minute from Jodie Taylor. And that is what I think we're going to expect from San Diego, is that the teams that are going to go at them and they're going to go full throttle, they're just going to sit back, defend really well, and wait for the other team to tire themselves out.
Casey Stoney has built this team so there is always a weapon that she can utilize. No matter what formation she's playing, no matter who's starting, she has built this team with versatility, and there's always a weapon she can bring on. And I have to just say two things. Number one, could Alex Morgan, under Casey Stoney's tutelage, get a call-up back into the U.S. women's national team? Because frankly, in my opinion, right now, Kristen Press and Alex Morgan are playing of the caliber to at least be brought into camp. I'm not saying they should be on the team. I'm not saying they should be starting. So everybody don't come at me for that. I'm saying they have played their way into camp. And to go up against these younger players and see what happens.
Yeah, I agree with them going into camp. I don't think that they're going to be starters, but I do agree that they have earned their right to go back into camp.
Okay, moving on to the final game, and kind of like the game that we really want to talk about in the NWSL, which is the Washington Spirit versus OL Reign. Now, they played each other to kick off the regular season on Sunday night, and they are going to face off again on Wednesday in the Challenge Cup semifinal. Look, this game on Sunday night had everything. We were talking in our last episode about how excited I am for this matchup. If Sunday is any indication of what is to come on Wednesday, oh my gosh. It had everything. Name something you want in a soccer game, had it. I saw somebody online say that they were disappointed with how OL started. I'm going to say this. OL could have played better. However, it was very clear that both teams were trying to conserve legs for Wednesday's semifinal, which makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was very end-to-end. That was the thing I wasn't expecting. It was... Because Spirit got the goal fairly early on, and they were doing really well, and then suddenly OL got their goal, but then Spirit got their goal really quick. It was so end-to-end, and it was frantic, but also really slow-paced. It was just so mishmash of a football match.
Right from the start, what was it? The 12th minute, we get a penalty kick called for OL Reign. Rose Lavelle steps up to take it, misses a penalty kick. Look, Rose Lavelle is an incredible player. She's an incredible goal scorer. She has historically proven that she should not be taking penalty kicks, including at Manchester City. That was unfortunate. 2 minutes later, we get an Ashley Sanchez goal on the other end for Washington Spirit, and it was just off to the races. These two teams, in my opinion, are the two teams to watch in this league. And we have to just shift gears right now to Wednesday and say, how does playing each other on Sunday and then coming into this semifinal game against each other on Wednesday, how does that affect both teams?
Yeah, no, of course, because you're looking at stats right now. You can't go off of possession stats because OL had more possession, only just. But then you look at it, the shots. Washington had 18 shots on goal.
That's wild.
Compared to Ole's 10. They had 12 on target compared to the 3 that Ole had. Spirit came out fast and furious because they've got a title to protect, They won last season. Granted, they were probably considered a bit of an underdog last season out of the playoffs to win the whole
absolutely.
league.
Laura Harvey joined the team so late into the season for OL.
And exactly. So they've done so well. And it is exciting. And it's just a little taster of what I think Wednesday's going to be. I think I'm going to quote the great Emma Hayes when I ask how it's going to affect them playing so close together. She said it's both an advantage and a disadvantage. because you get the opportunity to work out what they're going to do, but they also get the opportunity to work out what you could do.
All right, and that is it for us here at the Women's Soccer Show. As always, head over to our Patreon. We've got News in 10, we've got Fits and Kits, and so much more. Lots of content there. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll see you next week. I've been Sarah.
And I've been Allie.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night.